There comes a moment in every life, subtle, undeniable, when the noise fades, the roles fall silent, and a question rises. Who am I? Behind the name you were given, behind the work you do. Who is the reflection staring back at you? This question has haunted human beings for millennia, and yet it is often in the stillness, between our distractions, beneath the surface of thought, that it whispers loudest. It calls to something ancient, something true. At the heart of this mystery lies the ego. The ego, as described by spiritual traditions and modern psychology alike, is the mental construct of identity. It is the story you tell yourself about who you are, your personality, your history, your likes and dislikes. It is the illusion of separateness. The ego is like a mask you wear at a masquerade. It's not who you are, but it helps you play a role. It provides a sense of identity in a world that demands labels, functions, and personas. It's the operating system through which you filter your experience of reality. But it is not reality itself. Here's the paradox. The ego is not you. It's a mask, a costume, a useful fiction that helps you navigate the world. Like an actor on a stage, the ego plays its role. But have you forgotten it's a performance? What if the voice in your head isn't really you? What if you've mistaken the echo for the source? From an early age, the ego begins to form. A child, pure and open, starts to learn about reward and punishment, praise and criticism. The reactions of caregivers and the culture at large shape the sense of self. Slowly but surely, we begin to construct an identity, a version of ourselves that fits the mold. We learn what is acceptable and what is not. We build our ego to survive, to belong, to be seen and loved. But in doing so, we often exile parts of ourselves. We bury our authentic impulses. We silence our deeper truth in favor of fitting in. The result is the false self, a persona curated to gain approval and avoid rejection. And while this self may function successfully in society, it often leaves us feeling disconnected, anxious, or unfulfilled. There is a silent ache beneath the surface, a longing to return to something real. The concept of ego is not new. In Hindu philosophy, it is called ahamkara, the I-maker. In Buddhism, the illusion of a fixed self is considered the root of suffering. Western thinkers like Freud and Jung studied the ego in depth, seeing it as both a source of identity and a potential obstacle to deeper understanding. Across traditions, the message is the same. What we call the self is a construct, a temporary mask over something eternal. Mystics, saints, philosophers, and psychologists have all pointed toward the same mystery. Beneath the noise of personality, there is presence. The ego is clever. It hides in our ambitions, our fears, our judgments. It whispers stories of lack. You are not enough. You must do more. You must be better. Only then will you be worthy. It also hides in comparison. You are superior. You are inferior. You are different. You are alone. It thrives on separation because it defines itself by contrast. The ego cannot exist without the other. It plays the victim, the hero, the villain. It builds entire dramas in your mind and convinces you they are real. It feeds on conflict because conflict reinforces the sense of me versus you. And yet, the ego is not evil. It is not a monster to be slain. It is a child, afraid and desperate for safety. It is a necessary stage in human development, but it is not the destination. The ego doesn't just build identity, it also builds walls. Everything that doesn't fit the ego's image of me gets pushed into the shadow. Anger, vulnerability, wildness, joy, anything inconvenient or judged gets locked away. Awakening requires us to reclaim these lost fragments, not as flaws to fix but as sacred parts of our wholeness. Integrating the shadow is part of becoming real, of becoming whole. To know your true self, you must embrace all of yourself, not just the light, but the dark. Not just the parts you show, but the parts you hide. For many, the spiritual journey begins when the ego's structure begins to collapse. A crisis shatters the narrative. A loss, an illness, a betrayal. Something pierces the armor and brings us face to face with the truth we tried to avoid. The ego is not enough. Its promises are empty. No amount of success, approval, or control can fill the void. The mask slips, and for a moment we glimpse what lies beneath. And in that moment a question arises. If I am not this story, then who am I? This question is the doorway. This is the beginning of awakening. To answer that question, we must enter stillness. Not just outer silence, but inner quiet. A pause from doing, from becoming, from striving. In that sacred pause, something shifts. We begin to witness rather than react. We begin to observe our thoughts rather than be swept away by them. We begin to feel a presence that is not made of words or ideas. Presence is not a state you create. It is the ground of being, always available. It is what remains when thought recedes. You don't become present. You remember that you already are. Through meditation, breathwork, time in nature, or moments of deep connection, we touch this stillness. And in that stillness we realize, I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I am the awareness behind them. Awakening is not just mental, it is embodied. The ego lives in the head, but presence lives in the body, in the breath, in sensation. True realization isn't just a concept, it's something you feel in your bones. It's a softening of tension, a widening of perception, a falling into now. To live from truth is to return again and again to the body, not as a concept, but as a living, breathing, felt experience. Paradoxically, the ego plays a vital role in the awakening process. It creates the tension that propels us to seek. Its limitations push us to explore what lies beyond. The suffering the ego generates becomes the very fuel for transformation. Without the ego's discontent, we might never question, never look deeper, never seek the truth. It is often said, the ego is the caterpillar. Awakening is the transformation into the butterfly. The caterpillar must dissolve before the new form can emerge. And so, the ego must be seen, understood, and ultimately transcended. Many spiritual traditions speak of ego death, a symbolic death where the old identity falls away. This can be terrifying. The ego clings to existence. It resists dissolution with every ounce of energy. But ego death is not annihilation. It is a rebirth. The ego doesn't disappear. It is recontextualized. It moves from master to servant, from tyrant to tool. You still have preferences, boundaries, goals, but you no longer mistake them for your essence. The ego becomes a vehicle for expression, not a prison of identity. Suffering, though painful, becomes a sacred teacher. When everything falls apart, we are forced to let go. We are forced to face what is eternal within us. The ego wants to avoid discomfort, but the soul seeks truth, and truth often arrives dressed in difficulty. When we embrace suffering as a guide, we begin to see its hidden grace. It shows us where we are still clinging, where we are still asleep, and in that awareness, we awaken. Pain does not become pleasant, but it becomes purposeful. Imagine a man in traffic, furious that someone cut him off. His ego shouts, "How dare they? Don't they know who I am?" But beneath the anger, if he pauses, there's space. He realizes, I am not this rage. I am the one aware of it. In that moment, he doesn't react. He breathes, and peace returns. Or picture a woman staring at her reflection, doubting her worth. The ego says, you need to change. You're not good enough. But she places a hand on her heart and listens deeper. A softer voice says, you are already whole. That voice is not the ego, it is the soul. Awakening is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice of remembrance. You will still feel fear, doubt, anger. But now, you meet them with compassion. You don't push them away or let them define you. You hold them in awareness. You learn to dance with the ego, to use it as a bridge, not a barrier. It becomes the way your soul expresses itself in the world. It becomes art, poetry, presence. Integration means you don't escape the world. You embody your truth within the world. You bring consciousness to your relationships, your work, your choices. You speak from presence. You act from love. You live from truth. The spiritual path is not linear. It is not a ladder to climb or a test to pass. It is a spiral. You revisit the same lessons, but from new depths. You may fall back into ego patterns. You may forget. But now you remember faster. You come back to center more easily. You become a witness to your own unfolding. There is no destination, only deepening, only expansion. You, listening to this right now, pause. Feel your breath. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the aliveness that isn't made of thought. That is you. And it's been waiting patiently beneath the noise all along. You don't have to solve the mystery of who you are. You only have to be willing to wonder, to stay curious, to meet yourself moment by moment with compassion. The path isn't perfect, but it is yours, and you are ready. You are not the mask. You are the face beneath. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. You are not the storm. You are the sky. You are the one who watches, the one who allows, the one who is. And when you remember that, fear dissolves, not because life becomes easier, but because you are no longer resisting it. You begin to live in harmony with what is. You stop chasing and start being. You stop defending and start opening. You stop pretending and start remembering. You are not here to become something. You are here to remember everything you already are. Listen, not to the noise, but to the silence beneath it. In that silence, your true self is waiting, not to be found, but to be remembered. You are not broken, you are not lost, you are not alone. You are awareness, you are presence, you are home. Not in the future, not in some other place. Right here, right now, in being. Thank you for listening. May you find peace, wisdom, and guidance as you walk the path of spiritual awakening.